It's now been about 5 years since the GH5 was released, and of course that camera has been raved about ever since it came out. Panasonic truly raised the bar with the GH5, giving a whole new set of video recording capabilities that had never been seen before in that price range. And today they have officially announced the successor to one of the most popular video cameras of all time, the Lumix GH6. Now, I've been extremely lucky to get hands-on with this camera for the past few weeks to test out some of the new groundbreaking features that have now been introduced. And in today's video, I'll be talking about my experience using what Panasonic are calling their new flagship Micro Four Thirds body. First of all, let me read off some specs for you guys, since I know that you probably love to hear those first. So the GH6 shoots up to 5.7K internally up to 60p, and also shoots 4K 10-bit up to 120p internally as well. You can also record 5.7K ProRes RAW internally at either the 422 or 422 HQ ProRes compression sizes. Of course, you still get to shoot 4K 60 10-bit internal, only this time it's 422 color sampling and not 420. The variable frame rate options go up to 300 FPS 10-bit in HD, and the high frame rate options go up to 200 FPS also 10-bit in HD. You can also record 5.7K anamorphic up to 30p and 4.4K anamorphic at a 4:3 aspect ratio up to 60p. There are absolutely no record time limits on any of the video recording options, so therefore you should be able to record for as long as your battery and memory cards will allow you to. Autofocus wise, it's still a contrast detect system, which I'm sure is going to make a lot of people upset, but from my testing, it's actually been the best contrast detect AF that I've ever seen, far exceeding the GH5, and it's also definitely an improvement on my beloved S5 as well. The camera also uses an all-new Venus engine processor that allows for these high-quality recording options internally, and of course there's active cooling, so you won't ever get any overheating issues from what they've told me, and from my experience using this thing, overheating is definitely not an issue. Moving on to the physical attributes of this camera now, you get a brand new 25 megapixel Micro Four Thirds sensor with no low pass filter, a full-size HDMI port, a dual card slot, so one for UHS 2 SD cards and the other for CF Express cards. You of course also get your headphone port and a USB-C port that can be used both for supplying power and charging this camera on the go, even while you're using it. This body also has the same screen mechanism that we saw on the S1H, so you can actually flip it out and up and all that sort of stuff now, which is actually very handy. And to be honest, I think this is one of the best screen implementations on the market right now. The EVF is an OLED display with 3840K dot resolution, and the 3-inch LCD panel I think is 1840K dots. This camera also boasts up to 7.5 stops of in-body image stabilization, making it the most powerful IBIS system that's ever been seen on a Panasonic camera. But here's the craziest part. You can get all these amazing features in the GH6 for just £1,999 body only here in the UK, which in my opinion is an absolute steal. So, as you can see, this camera definitely isn't a joke and firmly earns its place at the top of Panasonic's video ranks for the Micro Four Thirds system. And this is actually my first ever time shooting with a Micro Four Thirds body, so I wasn't really sure what to expect, but oh my, it's definitely an insanely good piece of kit. So when I was originally told that I'd actually get the chance to get hands-on with the GH6 before its initial release, of course I was extremely excited and also a little bit apprehensive because, like I said, I've literally never used Micro Four Thirds before. So what I did was I actually booked a quick trip to Riga, which is the capital of Latvia, with a friend of mine just to shoot some content out there. And then of course I've been using it on a few of my paid corporate shoots recently as well. But anyway, right now I'm going to cut to me going to Latvia.
Okay, so we've just arrived. We are here now. But yeah, so what you're watching right now is being filmed on the Panasonic GH6. But yeah, I mean, so far, I've got to say, the autofocus actually seems really snappy from what I can see on the LCD screen. There's a option called like Fast AF in the menu. So I enabled that, and ever since I did that, it seems to be pretty dang good. So maybe Panasonic with the GH6 have done something different with their AF algorithms, and maybe it means that people stop moaning about the AF. Who knows?
is that guy just selling loads of hangers?
So I was actually extremely impressed using this camera out in the field and using it for my work. I've got to say I was using it quite a lot to film sort of social content for some of my clients, and I was actually using it handheld. And of course, because you can shoot up to 4K at 120 frames a second, you know, if you want to slow that down so you have high resolution, it makes it extremely good paired with that 7.5 stops of IBIS that you get inside this camera. And I actually found myself not using this with a gimbal at all. And to be honest, I would actually say there's a massive difference in terms of the IBIS performance comparing this camera to the S5, and I actually really like that about this camera. And I'd say that if you are someone that likes to shoot handheld a lot, then this camera is going to be an absolute dream for you because that IBIS is really good. And of course, if you pair that up with, let's say, 4K 60 or 4K 120, then there's literally going to be absolutely no shakiness or jitteriness at all. So that is actually really awesome. Of course, because it's got a flippy out screen and all those amazing video codecs, it's great for vlogging as well. And in terms of the AF performance, like I was saying before, it's actually the best contrast AF to text system that I've actually seen. It's definitely more responsive and more snappy than my S5, and I'm actually really happy with my S5's autofocus, to be honest. But this is a step above from that, which is actually quite interesting. And I'll put up some sort of autofocus examples now up on the screen so you can see that. But yeah, I'd actually say that Panasonic have crafted a really nice package with this body. And of course, at just under £2,000 body only, if you're already a Micro Four Thirds shooter and don't want to jump to full frame, or let's say you shoot both full frame but also have Micro Four Thirds lenses lying around, then there's absolutely no reason to not get this camera if you are someone that shoots a lot of video. Oh! Something else I want to talk about actually. So something that Panasonic have done, which I think is really nice with this camera, and I hope it gets carried out to the other cameras as well, is they've done a filter setting inside the menu. So of course, because this camera shoots so many amazing video codec options in the camera, you know, between long GOP compression and all intro compression, and of course with ProRes and all that sort of stuff, also flipping between ProRes, MOV and MP4, etc. They've allowed you to essentially do a My Filter option inside the menu. So that, let's say you only ever use all-I 4K 60, for example, and all-I 4K 25. Then you can go ahead and put those in your sort of filter settings, so you can then go to a separate menu and only access the codecs that you use on a regular basis. So that means that you're not going through the menus always trying to find the same one that you're trying to get. So that's actually really nice because they do a lot of different compressions in this camera. You know, you can shoot as low as 200 megabits a second or 150 megabits a second, and like I said, you can go all the way up to 800 megabits a second and higher depending on what frame rate and resolution you're shooting at. So having that option in the camera I think is actually really nice and makes it a lot easier to use on the fly if you are someone that only uses, let's say, 2 or 3 video codecs at any given time, or frame rate options, etc. And then another thing that they've done as well is they've massively improved the audio in this camera, in the sense that you can now record 4-channel audio. So that means that you can have up to 2 XLR inputs, of course, with the adapter, from what I believe. And then you also can record sort of scratch audio simultaneously with the inbuilt camera mics, so you can actually get 4 different channels. And that's actually a really nice feature, of course, for redundancy and for scratch audio and all that sort of stuff. And I actually thought that was really nice. And of course, Panasonic preamps for audio historically have always came in quite hot, and the lowest gain setting you could get inside your camera was -12 decibels, but with this camera it goes all the way down to -18, which I think is really nice. I'm not actually too sure what it goes down to on the S1H, but on the S5 it goes down to -12, so it's actually quite nice being able to go down all the way to -18 and still be recording audio with this camera, especially for those microphones that do come in a little hot as well. So yeah, that's also a really nice feature. And then of course the actual sort of display setting on the screen as well, they've implemented the same sort of screen design as the S1H, in the sense that it's sort of that more Varicam sort of look, where you have, you know, a very nice video centric sort of display, which you can then use to sort of monitor everything from your white balance, your ISO, your audio meters and all that good stuff. But of course it just feels a lot more professional and a lot more pro grade in this camera compared to some of the other cameras that have come before it. So yeah, overall I would say that the Panasonic GH6 is an absolutely fantastic little filmmaker's camera for anyone that's already in the Micro Four Thirds system or wants to be in the Micro Four Thirds system for, you know, the sort of more smaller and lightweight lens options that you have. And of course, Micro Four Thirds in terms of its lens selection is absolutely insane. There's so many lenses out now for this system because it's been around for a really long time. So yeah, I think that in terms of a video shooter, like a sort of solo video shooter or anything like that, it's definitely a fantastic package, and they've basically given us everything that we could potentially ask for. The AF, of course, is still contrast detect, which is going to make some people quite upset, set, but if I'm being completely honest with you, and as you saw in this video, it actually performs really well. So I don't think there's any real issues there in terms of the AF performance. And yeah, they've given us so much in such an affordable little sort of system and body and package. So yeah, I'm really happy about that. And genuinely, wholeheartedly, I would recommend this camera to anyone that is already shooting Micro Four Thirds or wants to get into Micro Four Thirds, or even as a B cam or an A cam to your full frame camera. I mean, it depends on what you use more, but like I would definitely consider picking this up as a B cam to my S5. Currently I have the S1 and I absolutely love that, but I can definitely see myself getting a lot of use out of the 4K 120 and of course the 5.7K ProRes internal on this camera as well. So yeah, there's absolutely so much to love about this camera, and in my opinion, Panasonic have absolutely smashed it out of the park with this one, and I can definitely see this thing flying off the shelves. So yeah, in the comment section, let me know what you guys think about this camera. Has it lived up to the expectations that you had for it, or has it not done? And if so, let me know why. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it somewhat useful, entertaining, or interesting, and if you did, then please subscribe, because I do make a lot of content on this channel surrounding the Panasonic LUMIX sort of family of cameras and lenses. So if you're into that thing and you shoot LUMIX, then please subscribe, because this channel will be for you. So yeah, anyway, thanks again for watching, and hopefully I shall see you in the next one. Thank you.